Welcome to the Stoic Tide. Have you ever started a conversation with the purest intention? Just wanting to find understanding to finally untangle a knot that's been too tight for too long. But the deeper you talk, the more you feel like you're pushing a Buddha uphill. Your sincere words are not received. They're weaponized. Your truth is not respected. It's twisted into an attempt to blame them. You explain with logic. They bend the facts with emotion. You try to stay calm. They escalate the conflict. You aim for a solution. They aim for emotional victory. And after a while, the exhaustion hits. And you have to ask yourself, am I talking to a narcissist? Now I'm not talking about a clinical diagnosis here. I'm speaking about a behavior pattern, what Stoicism calls an error in judgment. That personality type avoids accountability, refuses to acknowledge fault, lacks empathy, and must always attack to protect a fragile empty ego. That person could be anyone, a blood relative, a coworker, or an old flame. And here is the brutal reality, you cannot run from this truth. Life doesn't operate by perfect social media quotes. You can't just say, I'm doneticking to you, and walk away. Sometimes you must face them every single day. That's why our goal today is not to teach you how to persuade them. That's outside your control. Our goal is to teach you how to communicate with them without losing your inner peace. This is a lesson in Stoic wisdom. Clear, deliberate, and full of purpose. Section 1. Lesson in Exhaustion, Stoic Control. Section 1. The lesson in exhaustion. Challenging the instinct to understand. Why do we burn out when talking to a narcissist? It's not because they are too strong, too powerful. It's because you chose the wrong battlefield. As people who strive for virtue, we enter dialogue with a noble belief. If I just explain clearly enough, sincerely enough, they will finally see my perspective. You arm yourself with good intentions. You use your compassion as a weapon. You want to apply reason to raise the misunderstanding, but you must clearly understand your opponent's objective. You aim for reason. They aim for control. You want truth. They want the distortion to shield themselves from responsibility. You seek peace. They seek provocation to harvest your emotional energy. And fate is why you feel exhausted. You are not weak. You are simply playing a game where the rules were rigged against you from the start. Think about those carnival games, the ring toss. It looks simple, a test of skill. You throw and you miss. You try again. You miss again. You start doubting your own abilities, but eventually you realize the ring was bent. The bottles were glued down. The game was fixed. Talking to a narcissist is the same. The game belongs to them, the rules belong to them. And the goal is not to give out prizes, but to take your payment, in this case your emotional energy. The Stoic intervention here is dichotomy of control. Some things are within our control, and some are not. We cannot control empathy, the kindness or the eventual change of another person. We can control our response, our judgments, and our recent, our agreement to what is happening. When you try to make them understand, you are attempting to control what lies outside your grasp, and that is the true source of all suffering. Section 2. Section 2. Praise-or-Provoke. Predict the pattern. Provoke the practice of premeditation. To fight the Stoic way, we must employ premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This means consciously planning for the worst outcomes so that when they arrive, we're neither surprised nor emotionally derailed. The behavioral pattern of the narcissist is instantly predictable. Praise or provoke. They live on attention and control. If you refuse to praise them, to shower them with compliments, deference, or place them at the center of the universe, they will automatically switch to provoke. They will manufacture conflict, personal attacks, or victimhood to siphon that negative attention from you. To them, both forms provide the essential fuel of being seen and being in control. Imagine simply tell them you're busy and can't reply to a message right away. A normal person accepts this, but then Narcissist switches to provocation. Oh, so my time isn't as important as then. I don't know why I expected anything different from you. This is how you apply the premeditatio malorum. You anticipate, I know after this simplest admit, they will twist it into a personal attack or a grievance. You accept that is their nature, that will not harm my own virtue. Epictetus taught us no man can make you angry unless you give him the key. The Narcissist is not some diabolic Helmastern. They are simply people endlessly searching for that key. When you anticipate their behavior, you yank the key out of the lock. You begin to see their pattern for what it is. A tired, predictable play you've watched 100 times, and you are no longer surprised, nor truly hurt. This won't make the conversation pleasant, but it will make you emotionally impenetrable. Thank you for listening this far. And now I want to introduce you to the most important part. 3 Stoic strategies. 3 shields that will protect your calm and your clarity when facing narcissists. Strategy number 1. Neutral language. Stoic strategy 1. The power of neutral language. Once you've recognized the game and predicted their behavior, your next essential weapon is neutral language. This is the perfect Stoic practice of controlling your assent. When they attack you with words, they want you to assent to agree that you are wrong, or to agree that their statement deserves an explosive emotional reaction. This strategy is about completely withdrawing that assent. No reaction because reaction is fuel. No argument because argument validates their rigged game. No defense because a defense implies you accept the accusation. Instead, you shorten, you flatten, and you hollow out your response. Your neutral language toolkit includes. I see, thank you for sharing that. I will consider that this neutral language is an expression of temperance, that it is the shield that protects your tranquility and your reason. Consider this story. A woman grew tired of trying to explain her feelings to her husband. He would always reply with mockery, "You're too sensitive. You're always demanding something." The shift happened when she realized she couldn't control his cruelty, but she could control whether she gave it the power to hurt her. The last time he made a sarcastic remark, she didn't cry. She wasn't angry. She didn't drag out the conversation. She simply looked him in the eye and said with the flattest tone possible, "I note that." Then she walked away to do something else. The husband froze. For the first time, he failed because he could not manipulate her emotions. He couldn't find the key. Remember this. The thing that truly hurts you is not their words, but your emotional reaction to those words. Stoic strategy number 2. Controlling time and energy. Strategy 2. Controlling time and energy. The narcissist will deliberately extend the conversation until they see how losing composure and hitting Hauschen. They want you trapped in thespro so they can continue to harvest your energy. This strategy is about practice temperance and purpose with your most precious resource, time and energy. Stoicism teaches us you cannot control others, but you absolutely control how you use your own time. Setting these boundaries is an act of self-respect and a fundamental part of justice. Justice to yourself. Every conversation with them must have a clear established endpoint set by you. I only have 5 minutes for this. We're online discussing issue. I need to wrap up this call now. I need to stop. We will revisit this tomorrow. Do note of our X-lane. Your language must be brief and final, fitting right in with strategy 1. I spoke to a man whose mother, a person with deeply narcissistic behavior, would call him to vent and rage for hours. He felt depleted, but believed it was his filial duty. I told him, duty does not require you to burn yourself alive to light the way for someone else. Keeping yourself healthy is also a duty. He started using limiting statements. I have a meeting I must jump into immediately. I will call you back tonight at 7 p.m. and we have 10 minutes. The result, the 2-hour calls eventually shrank to 10 minutes. When you hold a boundary with stoic composure and discipline, others, even the narcissist, are forced to respect it. Your consistency creates a new reality that they must adhere to. Stoic strategy number 3, the imaginary audience strategy 3, invoking the imaginary audience. This is the advanced technique, the one that exploits the central contradiction of the narcissist. Asterisk, they do not care about your feelings, but they deeply care about their image in the eyes of others. They are reiterate of being perceived as the bad guy, the failure, or the brute within that imaginary audience in their head. You don't need to threaten them or expose them. You just need to gently remind them of the audience's presence. Use these phrases said with a calm, objective tone. I'm not sure others will agree with that kind of language, Dad. Do you think the teen family will find that statement helpful to our progress? If someone else was standing here and heard that, what would they think? Do believe the way you're phrasing that communicates your true intent. This is a genius tactic because it forces the narcissist to temporarily retreat from manipulating your emotions and switch into image management mode. When you mention others, you trigger their greatest fear. The loss of external validation. This automatically causes them to regulate their behavior, soften their tone, or try to reframe the narrative to sound more rational and moral. A colleague of mine was once yelled at by her narcissistic boss in front of their team. No one understands this project but me. You are only slowing things down. Instead of defending herself, she simply asked, "Do you think the team finds that statement helpful to our progress?" It was a gentle question, but it immediately redirected the spotlight away from her and onto him. He stumbled, looked around, and lowered his voice, struggling to justify his initial outburst. Your purpose here is not to humiliate him. It is to force him to communicate in a more functional way to protect his own self-image. This is how you use their weakness to carve out a space of safety for yourself. Section 3, the final Stoic lesson 3, the final lesson. Don't try to fix the unwilling. This is the most fundamental principle of Stoicism. The narcissist will not change because you agree. They will not change because you suffer. They will not change because you love them so much you forget yourself. They only change when they choose to change. And most often they won't, because blaming others is far easier, far more comfortable than accepting responsibility. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept people as they are or leave." The act of attempting to heal someone who refuses to be healed is an act of arrogance. You are positioned just as a deity, believing your love and your logic are strong enough to fundamentally alter another person's inherent nature. Stoicism teaches us humility when facing what we cannot control. You cannot heal the person who pretends to be asleep. You cannot wake the one who refuses to open their eyes. But you can do this one thing. You can ensure your own heart is not distorted, is not twisted by their chaos and toxicity. You protect your virtue, your calmness, your fairness, and your clarity of mind. Section 4. When retreat is an act of virtue. Section 4. When is retreat an act of virtue? Stoicism does not teach us to endure harassment forever. Stoicism teaches us to choose what we can control and to choose what aligns with our own virtue. There are unmistakable signs that you must not ignore. When you find yourself making yourself smaller, constantly walking on eggshells just so you won't get angry. When you apologize for things you did not do. When your joy and your self-confidence die just a little more each day. When your emotional barriers have been breached and you no longer have the strength to maintain neutrality. If maintaining communication with them begins to actively erode your mental health, your energy, and your ability to practice your own virtue, then the act of withdrawal is the ultimate Stoic act. Distance is not cowardice. It is the disciplined management of your internal assets. Conclusion: peace is the only victory. You cannot control their toxicity, but you can and must control how you receive it. Let us commit these 3 unwavering principles to memory. First, Accept the game. Recognize you are in the praise-or-provoke trap. Identify it and deliberately refuse to play. Second, wield the neutral shield. Use flat language, firm boundaries, and limitatum. You do not need a reaction to prove your self-worth. And third, employ the audience weapon. When necessary, gently invoke the judgment of the crowd to force them into behavioral alignment, and above all, hold tight to the central maxim of the Stoic. No man can disturb your soul unless you first give him the power to do so. You don't need applause. You don't need their validation to know you have won. The true victory, the only victory that matters, is the inner peace that is maintained despite the chaos raging outside. That is a triumph known only to you and your Stoic discipline. If this philosophy resonated with you today, if you feel a renewed sense of strength, please take a moment to like this video. It's the simplest way to support this channel and help this message reach others who are silently struggling. And if you are committed to building this psychological fortress around your mind, then subscribe now and join our growing community of practitioners. To commit to this journey, let me know in the comments below. Simply type the word noted. I look forward to seeing your commitment. Until the next lesson, stay strong, stay vigilant, and stay stoic. Thank you for watching.